Jake Morrison floated near the observation window of mining station Haven's Edge, watching his crew work the asteroid belt. The coffee in his magnetic cup had gone cold an hour ago, but he didn't care. Numbers on his tablet showed another successful day pulling rare metals from the floating rocks that littered this corner of space. "Captain, you need to see this," Pete Collins called from the engineering station. His voice carried a tone Jake had never heard before, fear mixed with wonder. Jake pushed off the wall and drifted over to Pete's workstation. The engineer pointed at his scanner display where massive shapes appeared at the edge of their detection range. The objects were huge, easily 10 times larger than their small mining station. "Ships?" Jake asked, though he already knew the answer. "Alien ships," Pete said quietly. "And they're coming straight for us." Lisa Hayes looked up from her pilot console. "Captain, I'm getting movement on all sensors. Whatever these things are, there are dozens of them." Jake felt his stomach drop. Humanity had been mining in deep space for 20 years, always hoping to find other intelligent life. Now that moment had arrived, and Jake realized they were completely unprepared. His small crew of 12 people had mining equipment and a few emergency weapons. Nothing that could stand against a fleet of alien warships. "Danny, send a message back to Earth," Jake ordered the communications officer. "Tell them we've made contact." Danny Rodriguez shook his head. "It'll take 6 months for any message to reach home, Captain. We're on our own." The alien ships grew larger on their screens. Jake could see they were unlike anything humans had ever built. The vessels looked organic, with curved surfaces and strange extensions that reminded him of spider legs. Dark metal hulls reflected the light of nearby stars. "They're slowing down," Lisa reported. "Looks like they want to talk, not fight." Jake hoped she was right. He activated the station's general communication system. "All crew, this is the captain. We have alien vessels approaching. Everyone stay calm and follow emergency protocols. This might be the most important day in human history." The largest alien ship moved closer to their station. Jake could see details now. Weapon ports, docking bays, and what looked like observation windows. The ship was beautiful in a terrifying way, like a work of art designed by something that had never seen Earth. "Captain, I'm receiving a transmission," Danny said, his hands shaking as he worked his controls. "It's not on any frequency we use, but my computer is trying to translate." "Put it through the speakers," Jake ordered. Static filled the bridge, followed by strange clicking sounds. Then a voice emerged, deep and powerful, clearly female but unlike any human woman Jake had ever heard. "Human vessel. I am Matriarch Zixandra of the Arachnid Consortium. Your species interests me. I wish to speak with your leader." Jake looked around at his crew. Pete was pale. Lisa gripped her controls tightly, and Danny stared at his communication equipment like it might explode. They all looked at Jake, waiting for him to make the decision that could determine humanity's future. "This is Captain Jake Morrison," he said into his microphone. "I'm the commander of this mining station, Captain Morrison. I have watched your people work. You show creativity and determination. These are rare qualities in this part of the galaxy. I would like to meet you in person." Jake's mind raced. Meeting an alien face-to-face seemed incredibly dangerous, but refusing might be worse. "Where would you like to meet?" "I will come to your station. Prepare your largest cargo bay. My shuttle will arrive in 1 hour." The transmission ended, leaving Jake and his crew in shocked silence. Pete was the first to speak. "Captain, this is insane. We don't know anything about these aliens. They could be planning to capture us or worse." "Maybe," Jake said, "but they could have destroyed us already if that's what they wanted. Besides, we don't have much choice." Lisa nodded. "The captain's right. If they wanted us dead, we'd already be floating in space." Jake spent the next hour preparing Cargo Bay 3 for their alien visitor. His crew armed themselves with mining tools and emergency weapons, though Jake doubted they would be much use against advanced alien technology. He also recorded a message for Earth explaining what was happening and hoping someone would eventually find it. When the alien shuttle arrived, Jake was amazed by its smooth landing in their cargo bay. The ship made no sound and seemed to float rather than fly. It was smaller than he expected, but still twice the size of any human shuttle. A door opened on the alien craft, and Jake got his first look at an intelligent alien being. Matriarch Zixandra was enormous, standing 12 feet tall on 8 powerful legs. Her body was covered in black armor that looked like it grew from her skin. Multiple eyes studied Jake and his crew with obvious intelligence. Despite her terrifying appearance, Jake sensed something familiar about her: grief. The way she moved, the set of her shoulders, reminded him of people he had known who had lost someone important. "Captain Morrison," she said, her voice carrying easily across the cargo bay. "You are smaller than I expected, but I sense strength in you." "Thank you, matriarch," Jake replied, surprised by how steady his voice sounded. "Welcome to Haven's Edge. Your mining operation is impressive," Zixandra continued. "Your people extract more resources with simple equipment than most species achieve with advanced technology. You think in ways that surprise me." Pete stepped forward slightly. "You've been watching us?" Zixandra's multiple eyes focused on the engineer. "Of course. When unknown ships enter arachnid space, we observe them. Usually we find nothing interesting. Your species is different." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. "Arachnid space? We didn't know this area belonged to anyone." "Your people are new to deep space travel," Zixandra said, and Jake thought he heard amusement in her voice. "This entire sector has been ours for 300 of your years. We normally remove intruders, but your methods fascinate me." The implication was clear. They could have been destroyed at any time. Jake realized how lucky humanity had been to survive this long in alien territory. "Why are you here?" Jake asked directly. Zixandra moved closer, her massive form towering over the humans. "Because I need allies, Captain Morrison. And I believe your species might be exactly what I am looking for." Zixandra activated a device on her wrist, and suddenly the cargo bay filled with floating images. Star maps appeared in the air, showing hundreds of solar systems connected by glowing lines. Jake and his crew stared in amazement at the three-dimensional display that surrounded them. "This is our territory," Zixandra explained, her voice echoing in the large space. "The Arachnid Consortium controls mining rights and trade routes across 200 star systems. For 3 centuries, we have been the dominant power in this region." Jake studied the maps floating around him. The scale was incredible. Humanity controlled only their home system and a few nearby mining operations. "It's impressive," he said honestly. "It was," Zixandra replied, and Jake heard sadness in her voice. "My mate, Patriarch Vexthor, died 2 months ago fighting the Razorclaw Hive. Without him, my political position has become weak. Other matriarchs question my right to rule our largest territories." Pete looked confused. "I don't understand. What does this have to do with us?" Zixandra's multiple eyes focused on the engineer. "Everything, human Pete. In arachnid society, strength comes from successful partnerships. My mate and I ruled together because we complemented each other's abilities. Alone, I am vulnerable to challenges from rivals who want my territories. So you need a new partner," Lisa said, understanding dawning in her voice. "Precisely." Zixandra moved closer to the star map, her legs clicking against the metal floor. "But finding the right ally is difficult. Most species in this region are either too weak to be useful or too strong to be trusted. They would seek to dominate rather than cooperate." Jake began to see where this was heading. "And you think humans might be different?" "I have studied your mining operations for weeks," Zixandra said. "Your people solve problems in ways that surprise me. You adapt quickly, use resources efficiently, and work together without strict hierarchy. These are valuable traits," Danny spoke up from behind Jake. "What exactly are you offering?" Zixandra gestured, and the star maps changed to show detailed resource surveys. Jake's breath caught as he saw the wealth displayed before them. Rare metals, energy sources, and materials that didn't exist in human space. "Partnership," Zixandra said simply. "Your people help me modernize arachnid operations using human innovation. In return, humanity gains access to our technology, protection from hostile species, and exclusive mining rights to an entire star system." The cargo bay fell silent except for the hum of life support systems. Jake looked at his crew and saw the same thoughts he was having reflected in their faces. This was beyond anything they had imagined when they came to deep space. "Captain," Pete said quietly, "this could change everything for humanity, but it's also incredibly dangerous. We don't know anything about alien politics or warfare." Lisa disagreed. "Pete's being too careful. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. Think about what we could learn from their technology. And think about what Earth would say," Danny added. "We don't have authority to make deals with alien governments. This could be seen as treason." Jake understood their concerns, but he also recognized the incredible opportunity before them. "What would you need from us?" he asked Zixandra. "Your creativity and adaptability," she replied. Arachnid thinking is logical and systematic but sometimes rigid. We follow established patterns and procedures. Your species thinks in ways that break patterns, finds solutions we would never consider. To demonstrate her point, Zixandra activated another device. Energy shields shimmered around parts of her body, and a small object materialized in her hand from thin air. The technology was far beyond anything humans possessed. "This is a molecular fabricator," she explained, offering the device to Jake. "It can create any object from basic atomic materials. Your people would call it magic." Jake took the device carefully. It was warm and seemed to vibrate with contained energy. "Why share this with us?" "Because I need allies who think differently," Zixandra said. "The Razor Claw Hive and other enemies use conventional tactics. They expect us to respond in predictable ways. Human unpredictability could give us decisive advantages." Pete examined the fabricator with obvious excitement. "Captain, the engineering possibilities are incredible. We could revolutionize manufacturing, construction, even food production. And the defensive applications," Lisa added. "If we could combine human tactics with alien technology." Jake handed the fabricator back to Zixandra. "This is all very tempting, but you're asking us to get involved in alien wars. People could die." "People are already dying," Zixandra replied bluntly. "The Razor Claw Hive kills everything they encounter. They view other species as food or obstacles to be eliminated. Eventually, they will reach your home system." The implications sent a chill through Jake. "How long do we have?" "At their current expansion rate, perhaps 50 of your years," Zixandra said. "Unless someone stops them first." Danny looked up from his communication console. "Captain, I'm picking up transmissions from the alien fleet." "It sounds like they're getting impatient." Zixandra nodded. "My escort wants to know if negotiations are proceeding successfully." "I told them I was confident of reaching an agreement." "You were that sure we'd accept?" Jake asked. "Your species is practical," Zixandra replied. "You came to deep space looking for resources and opportunities. I am offering both in quantities beyond your imagination." Jake looked around at his crew again. Pete was still staring at where the fabricator had been, clearly imagining its possibilities. Lisa was studying the star maps with hungry eyes. Danny seemed torn between excitement and worry about Earth's reaction. "If we agreed," Jake said carefully, "what would happen next?" "You would accompany me to the Consortium Council," Zixandra explained. "They must approve any new alliance. You would need to demonstrate human capabilities and prove your species can be valuable partners." "What kind of demonstration?" Pete asked. "Combat," Zixandra said simply. "The Razor Claw Hive is attacking one of our mining worlds. If humans can help us defend it successfully, the Council will approve our partnership." Jake felt his stomach tighten. "You want us to help fight a war before we even understand what we're getting into?" "I want you to help save lives," Zixandra corrected, "and show the galaxy that humanity deserves respect." The silence stretched for long minutes. Jake knew this decision would affect not just his crew, but potentially all of humanity. Earth might see their choice as betrayal, but the alternative could be the eventual destruction of human civilization. "I need to discuss this with my crew," Jake said finally. "Of course," Zixandra replied, "but decide quickly. The attack on our mining world begins in 3 days. If we are to work together, we must leave soon." As the alien matriarch returned to her shuttle, Jake gathered his crew in the station's conference room. The next few hours would determine humanity's future among the stars. The arachnid warship Silent Hunter cut through space toward the contested mining world of Kepler-7. Jake stood on the bridge next to Zixandra, watching displays that showed the approaching battle zone. After 12 hours of debate, his crew had voted to accept the alien alliance. Now they had to prove humanity was worth the risk. "The Razor Claw Hive has 40 ships surrounding the planet," reported Commander Thexval, Zixandra's military advisor. The spider-like officer studied tactical displays with 4 of his 8 eyes. "Our forces number 32 vessels, but they have superior firepower." Jake examined the enemy formation on the main screen. The Razor Claw ships looked like flying weapons, all sharp edges and gun ports. They moved in perfect coordination, forming geometric attack patterns that looked beautiful and deadly. "They fight like machines," Pete observed from his position at an engineering console. The arachnids had given Jake's crew access to their systems, hoping human insights might reveal new tactical options. "Because they think like machines," Zixandra explained. "The Razor Claw Hive shares a collective consciousness. Every ship knows what every other ship is thinking. They coordinate perfectly, but cannot adapt when unexpected things happen. Lisa was studying the flight patterns from her position at the navigation station. Captain, look at how they move. It's like a dance, beautiful but predictable. Jake nodded, beginning to see possibilities. What if we broke their rhythm? Explain, Zixandra commanded. On Earth, we have military tactics based on chaos theory, Jake said, thinking back to his service days. Sometimes the best strategy is to have no strategy at all. If they can't predict our moves, their coordination becomes a weakness instead of a strength. Commander Thexaval clicked his mandibles skeptically. Random actions are not tactics. They lead to defeat and death. Not random, Jake corrected. Unpredictable. There's a difference. The first phase of battle began as they entered the system. Razor Claw ships immediately moved to intercept them, forming perfect attack formations. Arachnid vessels responded with their own coordinated maneuvers, and space filled with energy beams and projectile weapons. We're losing, Danny reported from the communications station. 3 of our ships are already damaged. Jake watched the tactical display and saw the problem. Both sides were fighting according to established patterns, but the enemy's superior firepower was slowly winning. The Arachnids needed something unexpected to break the stalemate. Zixandra, can your ships break formation and fight independently? Jake asked. It goes against all our training, she replied. Coordination is how we fight effectively. Trust me, Jake said. Pete, can you rig some of our mining charges to work as ship weapons? The engineer grinned. Captain, I can make those mining explosives into the biggest fireworks display this galaxy has ever seen. Jake turned to Lisa. How well can you fly one of their shuttles? Give me 5 minutes to learn the controls and I'll make it dance, she replied confidently. Jake activated the communication system. All Arachnid ships, this is Captain Morrison. I'm transmitting new battle plans. They're going to seem crazy, but trust us. What followed was unlike any space battle the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of organized formations, Arachnid ships began moving in seemingly random patterns. Jake directed different vessels to perform impossible maneuvers, sudden stops, spinning attacks, and flight paths that made no logical sense. Pete's modified mining charges proved devastatingly effective. The explosives were designed to crack asteroids, but when fired at enemy ships, they created spectacular explosions that damaged multiple targets at once. The Razor Claw Hive had no defense against weapons that had never been used in warfare before. Lisa piloted a shuttle loaded with Pete's explosives directly into the enemy formation. Her erratic flight pattern confused the Razor Claw targeting systems, allowing her to deliver the charges exactly where they would do the most damage. This is impossible, Commander Thexaval muttered as he watched enemy ships struggle to respond to human tactics. They cannot coordinate against chaos. Danny proved equally valuable by jamming enemy communications with random signals. Since the Razor Claw Hive depended on constant communication for coordination, disrupting their data streams created confusion throughout their fleet. The turning point came when Jake realized something crucial about the enemy formation. They're not just coordinated, he told Zixandra. They're dependent on each other. Watch what happens when we isolate individual ships. Jake directed concentrated attacks on specific vessels, cutting them off from the main group. Without constant communication with the hive mind, individual Razor Claw ships became confused and ineffective. They had never learned to fight alone. Target their command ship, Jake ordered. If we can disrupt their central coordination, the whole formation will collapse. The battle's climax was both terrifying and beautiful. Human-inspired chaos tactics allowed smaller Arachnid forces to systematically destroy a superior enemy fleet. Razor Claw ships, unable to adapt to unpredictable human strategies, found themselves outmaneuvered and overwhelmed. When the last enemy vessel exploded, the bridge of the Silent Hunter fell silent. Commander Thexval stared at the tactical display showing the wreckage of 40 Razor Claw ships while only losing 5 Arachnid vessels. Incredible, Zixandra said quietly. In 3 hours, you have changed everything I know about warfare. The mining world of Kepler-7 was safe, its billion Arachnid inhabitants rescued from certain death. More importantly, news of the victory spread quickly through consortium communication networks. Other matriarchs who had questioned Zixandra's leadership began sending congratulations and requests for alliance. The council will see you now, Zixandra announced to Jake and his crew. After this victory, I believe they will be very interested in what humanity has to offer. Jake felt a mixture of pride and concern as they prepared to travel to the consortium capital world. They had proven that humans could be valuable allies, but he wondered what other challenges lay ahead. The galaxy was vast, and humanity was still small and new to interstellar politics. "Captain," Pete said as they watched the rescued mining colony celebrate their survival, "I think we just changed human history." "Maybe," Jake replied. "But this is just the beginning. We've shown what humans can do in one battle. Now we need to prove we can be trusted partners in peace." Lisa looked up from her navigation console. "The consortium capital is 3 days away at maximum speed. That gives us time to prepare for whatever comes next." Danny was monitoring communication channels. "Captain, I'm picking up transmissions from dozens of different species. Word about this battle is spreading across the galaxy." Jake nodded, understanding the implications. Humanity had announced itself to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible, by winning an impossible battle against overwhelming odds. Other species would now know that humans existed and that they were not to be underestimated. "Set course for the consortium capital," Jake ordered. "Let's go meet the people who will decide humanity's future among the stars." The consortium council chamber was unlike anything Jake had ever imagined. Hundreds of massive arachnids filled the circular amphitheater, their black carapaces gleaming under strange alien lighting. At the center of the chamber, Jake and his crew stood on a raised platform while Matriarch Zixandra presented their case to the assembled leaders. "The humans saved Kepler-7 with tactics we had never considered," Zixandra explained to the council. "They think in ways that give us new advantages against our enemies." Matriarch Velandra, the council's senior member, studied Jake with multiple eyes that seemed to see right through him. "These creatures are small and weak. How can they benefit the consortium?" Jake stepped forward, remembering the coaching Zixandra had given him about arachnid culture. "Honorable matriarch, size and strength are not the only forms of power. Sometimes the smallest change can have the biggest effect." To demonstrate, Pete activated a holographic display showing the battle at Kepler-7. The council watched in fascination as human tactics turned certain defeat into overwhelming victory. "Impressive," admitted Matriarch Kexnara, ruler of the military territories. "But one battle does not prove long-term value. What can your species offer us beyond warfare?" Lisa spoke up. "Our people are natural explorers and inventors. We find new ways to solve old problems. Give us any challenge, and we'll find solutions you never imagined." The council debated for hours in their clicking musical language. Finally, Velandra announced their decision. "The consortium approves this alliance on a trial basis. Matriarch Zixandra will oversee human integration into our territories. If the partnership proves beneficial after 1 year, we will consider permanent membership." Jake felt relief flood through him. They had done it. Humanity now had official allies among the stars. Over the following months, the alliance grew beyond anyone's expectations. Human settlements appeared on 3 arachnid worlds, while arachnid observation posts were established near Earth. The technology exchange revolutionized both species. Pete led joint engineering projects that combined human creativity with arachnid precision. Mining operations became incredibly efficient when human adaptability merged with alien technology. Energy production increased by 300% using hybrid human-arachnid designs. Lisa established the first mixed-species pilot training program. Human reflexes and intuition, combined with arachnid systematic thinking, created the most skilled ship crews the galaxy had ever seen. Their exploration missions discovered new star systems and resources that benefited both species. Danny worked on communication systems that allowed instant translation between dozens of alien languages. His breakthrough made diplomatic contact with other species much easier and opened new possibilities for trade and cooperation. Jake found himself appointed as humanity's first interstellar ambassador, working directly with Zixandra to manage the growing partnership. Their offices on the consortium capital world became a symbol of successful cooperation between different species. "The other races are taking notice," Zixandra told Jake during one of their daily planning meetings. "The Epsilon Trade Guild wants to establish relations with humanity. The Crystal Singers have requested cultural exchanges. Even the mysterious Void Walkers have sent observers." Jake reviewed reports from across consortium space. Everywhere humans worked alongside arachnids, productivity and innovation increased dramatically. The partnership was succeeding beyond their wildest dreams, but success brought new problems. 3 months after the council approval, Danny burst into Jake's office with urgent news. "Captain, we're receiving demands from the Galactic Commerce Federation. They want all human expansion stopped immediately." Jake studied the official communication with growing concern. The Federation was the galaxy's most powerful economic organization, controlling trade routes and resource distribution across thousands of star systems. "They're claiming we're disrupting established commerce patterns," Danny continued. "They want humans to submit to Federation oversight and limit our activities to pre-approved territories." Zixandra's mandibles clicked angrily as she read the demands. The Federation fears losing control. For centuries, they have kept smaller species dependent on their trade networks. Our alliance threatens their monopoly. Jake understood the implications. The Federation made enormous profits by controlling resource access and trade routes. If the human-arachnid partnership continued growing, other species might demand similar independence from Federation control. "What happens if we refuse their demands?" Jake asked. "Economic sanctions at first," Zixandra replied, "then diplomatic pressure from Federation member species. Eventually, they may resort to military action." The situation became more serious when Federation ships began patrolling the borders of consortium space. Trade routes were disrupted, and several neutral species stopped dealing with both humans and arachnids under Federation pressure. "They're trying to isolate us," Pete observed during an emergency meeting. "Cut us off from potential allies and resources until we have no choice but to submit." Lisa disagreed. "Maybe isolation is exactly what we need. We've proven that human-arachnid cooperation works. Other species have seen our success. Some of them might be willing to stand with us against Federation control." Jake spent days reviewing intelligence reports and communication intercepts. The Federation's response to their alliance revealed something important. The established galactic order was built on keeping smaller species weak and dependent. "Zixandra, how many species are currently under Federation economic control?" Jake asked. 47 member species and perhaps 200 client races," she replied. "Most joined because they had no other choice for accessing advanced technology and trade networks." "And how many of them are happy with the arrangement?" Zixandra's multiple eyes focused on Jake. "Very few. The Federation takes 70% of all resource profits and controls technology distribution. Member species have little freedom to develop independently." Jake saw an opportunity. What if we offered them an alternative? The idea was ambitious. Create a new alliance based on mutual cooperation instead of economic exploitation. Species would keep control of their own resources while sharing technology and providing mutual defense against threats like the Razor Claw Hive. It would mean war with the Federation. Zixandra warned. "They will never allow their economic empire to be challenged." "Maybe," Jake said. "But we've already proven that David can beat Goliath if he's smart enough and has the right allies." Over the next several weeks, Jake and Zixandra quietly contacted representatives from smaller species throughout Federation space. The response was encouraging. Many races were tired of Federation exploitation and interested in alternatives. The aquatic builders of Tidal 7 offered advanced underwater construction technology. The silicon miners from the crystal worlds provided access to rare computational materials. Even some Federation member species sent secret messages expressing interest in the new alliance. "The Federation Council is meeting to discuss the human problem," Danny reported one morning. "Intelligence sources say they're planning military action to stop our expansion." Jake looked out his office window at the bustling capital city below. Humans and arachnids worked together in the streets, their cooperation creating prosperity that benefited everyone. The Federation wanted to destroy this success to protect their own power. "Get me a secure channel to Earth," Jake ordered. "It's time to tell humanity what's really happening out here." The message Jake sent home was simple but revolutionary. Humanity had found allies among the stars, but those allies were threatened by an economic empire that sought to keep all species weak and dependent. Earth needed to choose between safety under Federation control or freedom through alliance with oppressed races across the galaxy. The Federation ultimatum arrives tomorrow, Zixandra informed Jake. "They're demanding our complete surrender to their authority." Jake smiled grimly. "Then tomorrow we give them our answer." The Federation ultimatum arrived exactly as predicted. Jake stood in the Consortium Council chamber as the massive holographic display showed Admiral Corlex of the Federation Navy delivering his demands. The human species will cease all unauthorized expansion. Immediately, the blue-skinned alien declared, all human settlements in Consortium space must be evacuated within 30 days. Failure to comply will result in military intervention to restore galactic order. The council chamber erupted in angry clicking from hundreds of arachnid leaders. Matriarch Vilandra raised her front legs for silence. What is humanity's response to these demands? She asked Jake. Jake stepped forward, knowing his next words would determine the fate of billions of people across the galaxy. The answer is no. Humanity will not abandon our allies or submit to Federation tyranny. Admiral Corlex's image showed surprise at the direct refusal. Then you choose war, humans. The Federation fleet will arrive in 7 days to remove your illegal settlements by force. The transmission ended, leaving the council chamber in tense silence. Jake looked around at the assembled arachnid leaders, searching their alien faces for signs of doubt or fear. The Federation has over 3,000 warships, Commander Thexaval reported grimly. Our combined forces number less than 800 vessels. The mathematics of this conflict are not favorable. Mathematics don't win wars, Jake replied, remembering lessons from the Kepler-7 battle. Determination and clever tactics do. Zixandra moved to Jake's side. The consortium stands with humanity. We will face this threat together. Over the next week, Jake coordinated the most complex military operation in galactic history. The secret allies they had contacted throughout Federation space revealed themselves, offering support for the rebellion against economic oppression. The silicon miners provided stealth technology that made ships nearly invisible to sensors. The aquatic builders contributed underwater manufacturing facilities that could produce weapons and supplies without detection. Most importantly, 12 Federation member species declared independence and joined the growing alliance. Pete worked frantically to adapt human tactics for a larger conflict. Mining explosives were modified into ship-killing weapons. Communication jammers were enhanced to disrupt Federation coordination across multiple star systems. Every piece of civilian equipment was converted into military tools. Lisa trained pilots from 6 different species in human chaos tactics. The mixed crews learned to fight as individuals while supporting each other, creating unpredictable formations that traditional military doctrine couldn't counter. Danny established a communication network that allowed instant coordination between allied forces spread across dozens of star systems. His encryption methods, based on human music and poetry, proved impossible for Federation codebreakers to solve. When the Federation fleet arrived, they found something unprecedented, a united alliance of species fighting for freedom rather than conquest. The first battle took place in the Kepler-7 system, where Jake had first proven human military value. They're using standard Federation attack formations, Lisa reported from her position commanding a squadron of mixed-species fighters, just like we expected. Jake watched the tactical display as 3,000 Federation ships moved toward their forces. The enemy fleet was enormous and powerful, but it was also predictable. They fought according to regulations and established procedures. Begin Operation Stardust, Jake ordered. What followed was chaos on a galactic scale. Allied ships scattered in all directions, abandoning traditional formations for seemingly random patterns. Federation commanders found themselves unable to coordinate attacks against enemies that refused to follow military logic. Pete's modified mining charges proved devastatingly effective against large Federation battleships. The weapons had been designed to shatter asteroids, but when fired at enemy vessels, they created chain reactions that destroyed multiple targets. The silicon miners' stealth technology allowed Allied ships to appear and disappear like ghosts, striking Federation forces and vanishing before retaliation was possible. Traditional battle tactics became useless when enemies could materialize anywhere without warning. Most importantly, the rebellion's cause inspired oppressed species throughout Federation space. As news of early victories spread, more races joined the alliance. Federation control began crumbling as client species declared independence. Admiral Corlex is requesting surrender negotiations. Danny reported after 3 days of fighting. Jake was surprised by how quickly Federation resistance had collapsed. Already? I thought this would take months. Their member species are abandoning them, Zixandra explained. The Federation's power was based on economic control, not military strength. When their clients rebel, they have no foundation to support their authority. The surrender negotiations took place on a neutral space station. Jake found himself sitting across from Admiral Corlex in the Federation Council, representing an alliance that now included over 100 different species. Your chaos tactics are dishonorable, Admiral Corlex complained. Warfare should follow established rules and procedures, says the representative of an empire built on economic exploitation, Jake replied calmly. The rules you followed were designed to keep other species weak and dependent. The Federation Council leader, an ancient reptilian being named Supreme Chancellor Vorth, studied Jake with cold eyes. What do you want from us, human? Freedom, Jake said simply. Every species should control their own resources and destiny. No one race should dominate all others through economic manipulation. The negotiations lasted for days, but the outcome was inevitable. The Federation's military power had crumbled when their economic empire collapsed. They had no choice but to accept the alliance's terms. The new galactic government was established based on voluntary cooperation rather than forced submission. Each member species maintained control of their home systems while contributing to mutual defense and sharing technology freely. Jake was elected to the Galactic Council as humanity's first representative, while Zixandra became Supreme Military Coordinator for the Alliance. Their partnership, which had begun with a desperate mining station seeking survival, now governed thousands of star systems. The Voidwalkers have sent a message, Danny reported during one of their first official council meetings. They want to establish contact with our alliance. Jake smiled at the implications. The mysterious Voidwalkers were rumored to be the galaxy's oldest species, possessing technology that seemed like magic. If they were interested in the alliance, it meant humanity had truly earned respect among the stars. Schedule the meeting, Jake ordered. It's time to see what lies beyond our current borders. Months later, Jake stood on the observation deck of the Alliance flagship, watching preparations for humanity's next great adventure. The galaxy beyond known space awaited exploration, and the Alliance fleet was ready to carry their message of cooperation and freedom to whatever civilizations they might encounter. Zixandra joined him at the window, her massive form reflecting the starlight. Are you ready for whatever we might find out there? Jake thought about the journey that had brought them to this moment. From a small mining station to the leaders of a galactic alliance, humanity had proven that size and age didn't determine worth, that courage and creativity could overcome any obstacle. We've come this far by working together, Jake said. I think we can handle whatever the universe throws at us next. The Alliance fleet activated their faster-than-light drives and disappeared into the unknown, carrying humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy, the knowledge that cooperation was stronger than conquest, and that even the smallest species could change the fate of the stars.